when did you know that you fall in love with music?
I don't even know, you know, it's like, music's always been around, you get what I'm saying? So like my dad had like the biggest music collection that I can think of. We had tapes, do you get what I'm saying? Like just like shoe boxes of tapes, tapes upon tapes, you get me? So I feel like I always loved music, you get what I'm saying? But the first piece of music that I remember that made me think like, raw, I want to do this, was like listen to Warren G's Regulate. So I don't know when that came out, but that my dad had the tape, and it was like Sony Walkman era.
Yeah.
So I took that tape and I used to just listen to that, rinse that album.
Okay.
So it was probably then.
And you decided, no, this is me.
I'd like to say that's what I said then, but looking back, that was the moment, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was when it's like, boom. That was like, yeah, I love this team.
I read somewhere that you said your dad had a lot of West Coast. West Coast is Snoop, right?
West Coast.
Dr. Dre.
That's what it was. It was Dr. Dre, The Chronic.
That's a very good project, man.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style, and the Deep Cover soundtrack. So it was like, when Mom was young, me and my brother would beg for the Doggy Style album to be played in it. And then I was a fan of artwork. So I'd always try to look at the tape, but my dad would never let me look at the tape. When I was old enough and I bought the CD myself, I looked at the artwork again, and I can see why my dad didn't let me look at the artwork at that time.
Yeah.
And The Chronic was a major album as well, like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. Yeah, it was major influence.
You know, you're saying that. When I listened to Trust the Process, I could hear hints of West Coast.
Cool.
But like on first impression, it was East Coast.
And yeah.
It was Wu-Tang Clan. It was A Tribe Called Quest. It was Mos Def. That was what screamed out to me. And actually, that's what I liked the most, because I love East Coast music.
And I love East Coast music too. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, so yeah, my pops, it was very West Coast, innit? Because at that time, West Coast was popping, and you know what I mean? So I just bought the Rim soundtrack and Menace to Society soundtracks. Like these days, soundtracks was live.
Of course.
You get what I'm saying?
The films were popping too.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, like the soundtracks, like, and the films, like,
made sense.
You get me? So then my pops left when I was like 10. So then from then I found my own kind of identity with music. So it's like I started with Tupac. So I was like, every Tupac CD I was on, do you get what I mean? Christmas, I write my list, I go HMV or Ainley's, and I look to see which ones I ain't got, I write the names down, and be like, boom, that's what I want for Christmas for my birthday. So then after I got Tupac, I moved to DMX. So obviously I'm moving more to a New York sound, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then from DMX, it was like, I got into like CNN, Capone and Noriega, and it was Queens. Queens was the sound, innit? Like for me, I love Queens, innit? I feel like that's all the spitters are from, innit? So then that's when I bumped into like I said, CNN, Nas, Cormega. Do you get what I mean? Like there was just different MCs from Queens. It seemed like that's where all the spitters were from. So then, and then it was like Harlem. I love the Harlem MCs as well. Brooklyn, it was like Brooklyn was like the hard man. Them was just like the hyenas. You know what I'm saying? So as I grew and got more into music, I kind of moved away from West Coast. West Coast was too happy.
Right.
You get me?
Too groovy.
Yeah, it was too
it doesn't make sense.
It was too sunny. That's what it was. And that period in time where I was coming into music, it wasn't sunny times. Do you feel me? I felt like the East Coast had that grit. It's like that.
The hardship was speaking through the music a lot more.
You could hear the trains, like the trains screaming in it. You get me? And there's that basement rap, like you know, like the pipes dripping and decks and boom. You know what I mean? It was raw in it, and that's what drew me into it. So yeah, I love the East Coast sound in it. Like that's me in it. But my introduction to it was the West Coast.
I mean, it shines through in your music now. Yeah. When I'm introducing people to your music and they're like, what does he sound like? Who does he? I'm like, East Coast. If you like East Coast 90s music, rap music, Strauss is your person.
Yeah, man. That's what my brain tempo is, innit? That's the tempo that I operate at. Do you get what I mean? That boom bap sound, innit?
Of course.
So it's like, yeah, man. It's got that feel. You get me?
And the jazzy side. I mean, if we talk about West Coast music, I hear more of a jazzy sound in West Coast. This is more on the let's talk about Kendrick, right? But we know that Kendrick has famously said that his family's from Chicago, so that's where the jazz comes from. But like you were talking about the happy music, right? Jazz can have a depressive tempo.
Definitely.
But there's another side that feels more West Coast. But I don't know how you've managed to bring that into your music, and it's distinctively jazzy.
You know what it is with the jazz? That's my mum. Do you get me? Like the music that I used to write to was living East Coast. And I just have hard, like, head nod stuff. You get what I'm not? So when I'm listening to instrumentals all day in the kitchen, my mum's like, yo, I can't listen to that no more. That's doing my head in. You need some melody. So it's like, I used to do my head in because it's like, what do you mean by melody in it? So it's like, as time progressed, she was like, oh, you need more melody in the beats. Do you get what I'm saying? The tunes are like the Art Summarizing Life, my first project. She was like, yeah, that's nice, and there's some alright tunes on there, but there's no melody on there, you get me?
Right.
So like, I took it back to my guy Rubs. So the from jazz gives it a natural melody, do you get what I'm saying? And it's like, it's melodical, and you can put the hard bars on the jazzy beats, and it's a nice mixture in it. It's like hot and cold in it. It's like hot apple pie and ice cream, you get me? It's like, if you listen to my bars, I'm talking some hard stuff in it. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like if you put it on the next beat, on the trap beat, or something a bit harder, it's hard stuff. It's hard. Do you get me? But because it's got a nicer backdrop, the jazz provides melody and just a vibe. You get me? It's like, yeah, man. I think it's a good mix, and that's what I'm loving it. My mum told me bring melody into it, and I like jazz in it. I love jazz. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, yeah, this jazz does something to me in it.
That's so cool.